what do you think the climax of the speech was?
Come on, he has woven a fabric and a texture that's indelible in the minds of Americans. He just brought it home seamlessly tonight. The idea of making America great again, and he had so much to contrast with a absolute destruction of the nation under Biden. I mean, listen, this is a powerful message, and he brought it home.
He sits down as he waits for his guests. His coffee does not help the time pass. Disappointment sets in. If he only had real deal coffee to indulge in, when it's chocolate-covered almonds and maple syrup citrus finish, roasted right here in the US of A, life would only be that much better. Real deal coffee. Because indulgence is just a cup away. Watching World at War with Dean Ryan, weeknights, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Real Deal Media.
Having an affair with this guy, he even admitted to the operator that it just was a friend.
Welcome everybody, welcome to Beware of Darkness. Usually we're doing a after party of sorts, but there's really no party right now. There's just time of action, time of steadfast, time of discernment, time of war.
I ain't got nothing to be scared of. No, I don't, because it's Liberation Day. It's what they say. We just might may. Down by the bay. Yes, we will. Good evening, everybody, wherever you find yourself. I am Dean Ryan, the guy from the video you just saw. Yes, I am coming to life right now. And this is Real Deal Media's #1 late night shadow band show in the world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And we are running an operation that is shoestring, and it's definitely being targeted on so many levels. Where do I begin? But tonight, today, and this morning, depending where you're watching, you're going to be seeing an incredible episode, as the title of tonight is Liberation Day. That's right, Liberation Day. We're going to be talking about what that really is, what that entails, and what to expect going forward. And somebody who's going to be inspecting, to borrow that term, is Toronto's favorite son, Aaron Cates. He's going to be here as Liberation Day has kind of been targeting our neighbors to the north. That's right, the People's Republic of Canada. So we'll be hearing about that as Mark Carney, whoever that is. When I first heard that name, I thought it was an actor on a soap opera. I wasn't sure what was going on here, but we're going to be talking about that with Aaron. And I'm just going to forewarn you, the winds are high peak right now where I am broadcasting. So I'm expecting just a very tough time. So I'm apologizing beforehand, but that's the kind of warfare we're under. Okay, let's just get started. Well, I think we're on Facebook. I'm not even sure. They hide the damn show now. Facebook is stopping all lives from not just being seen, but from being saved and all kinds of shenanigans. So if you're seeing us on Facebook, then consider this, consider yourself lucky. And this is probably the last of a few shows on Facebook. They're ridding it all. You can find us on Rumble. Hello to everybody on Rumble. And another graveyard, YouTube. For now, Dean Ryan TV over there on YouTube. Okay, so let's just get into it before I get very angry for some reason. Real deal headlines. Well, today is going to be the day that they're going to throw tariffs back at you. That's right, Liberation Day. As now Trump unveils 10% tariffs on all imports, plus reciprocal tariffs on dozens of nations. And I'm thinking that's at least 12, according to my math of what a dozen is or could be. That's right. Trump has now unveiled sweeping reciprocal tariffs on goods from all over the world, plus 10% baseline tariff on U.S. imports from all countries, as he seeks to reshape decades of U.S. trade policy, despite warnings of higher costs for American businesses and consumers. That's right. That's all of us out here. Well, Trump has also announced 10% minimum tariff to apply to goods from all countries. However, certain trading partners will face higher reciprocal tariffs aimed at penalizing them for trade barriers. Those taxes on imported goods are calculated on country-by-country basis, they're saying, and the levels are reaching plateaus that we've never seen before. Trump has stated that he plans to impose 34% now tariffs on China, 20% on the EU, and 24% on Japan, among an array of different trading partners. Well, how's the mainstream, I guess we should say the lamestream Urine Soak media, handling this? Well, this is how they're reporting it, because we all celebrate Liberation Day, just a slight difference in contrast to each other, don't we?
At the live desk right now, the world is reacting to sweeping new tariffs announced by President Trump just about 2 hours ago. The president announcing a baseline 10% tariff on imports from all countries effective this weekend. Just a baseline. Other countries may see higher tariffs. For instance, goods from China will face a 34% tax, 20% on imports from the European Union. Now, these new tariffs are on top of a recently announced 25% tariff on auto imports and auto parts. Those take effect at midnight tonight. And penalties on imported steel and aluminum. The president called today Liberation Day, saying the tariffs would lead to economic freedom and prompt companies to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. But there's fear among economists and some business leaders that the moves will increase prices for Americans and create economic turmoil. So much remains to be seen.
Yeah, so much remains to be seen. And, what a pessimist she is. What a pessimist. Well, speaking of pessimism, well, that leads us now to this, as now 10,000 jobs have now been cut from the nation's top so-called health departments. That's right. That's right. The Center of Deception Control considered them one of the jobless. And I'm crying inside. I'm really not. Well, this is a little different now as RFK Jr., who is getting past the scandals of this past weekend, which is pretty salacious and right up our alley. Well, now Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has offered, they're saying no new details, as his massive restructuring of the United States Department of Health and, well, really Department of Death and Human Services, the day after thousands of layoffs have now ricocheted through its agencies. Many people say about damn time, and a lot of people are saying not soon enough. Well, now hollowing out the entire offices around the country in some cases. And yeah, there's a lot of pissed off people. A lot of bureaucrats are very angry. And well, now they're saying Kennedy's silence is prompting questions from Republican and Democrat lawmakers, all alike, with bipartisan requests from President Donald Trump and his health secretary to appear before Senate committee next week to explain. They need to be explained like children and then spanked and then thrown in a closet. That's right. As many now as 10,000 notices were sent to scientists now, senior leaders, doctors, inspectors, OBGYNs, chiropractors, and many others who we don't even want to care to mention across the nation. As a department, it's an effort now for the department to cut a quarter of its workforce. The agency itself has had offered no specifics on what that entails to replace and which jobs exactly will be eliminated, with no information and really not a caring public who gives a damn. Now, just to close it off here, what am I talking about? Budget cuts. Well, the move of the department is now expected to save $1.8 billion from the agency just this year alone, and maybe even more, they're saying, is an annual budget cut going forward of $1.7 trillion. Well, don't threaten me with budget cuts, only good times, as I say. Well, now the FBI is now talking about gagging, and gagging on what? Well, gag orders were now present as we're figuring out what just took place the past 4 years. Well, the FBI imposed a gag order on agents to silence the Bunter Hyden laptop truth before the 2020 election. New chat logs reveal. What a mystery. What a mystery. Well, let's dive right into it because, I remember how dangerous this was to even hint at it. Yes, what do I mean? Well, now this is what we're finding out now. As the FBI knew about Hunter laptop, authentic as it was in 2019, but silenced agents from confirming it before the 2020 election, as we previously stated. Now, the internal logs reveal the FBI officials suppressed analysts who tried to counter the false Russian disinformation narrative, they're saying. And yes, speaking of gagging, I just did. Social media platforms censored now the New York Post reporting initially, if you recall, falsely labeling it Russian propaganda. Russian propaganda. Emails on the laptop implicated Hunter Biden's influence in peddling, with 10% of the payments allegedly meant for, quote, the big guy. Also, Biden's 2025 pardons of Hunter and others fueled suspicion over the cover-up, raising concerns about the so-called the most infamous election interference we've ever seen. Let us not forget what else was on the laptop. All the party participants, along with Bunter Hyden, those include allegedly Lady Gagme, the fake plus all the blueprints from CERN, as we showed you all those years ago, just like yesterday. Moving on. Well, I have some sad news. Val Kilmer is now passed away at the age of 65. I was going to have an associate of his on with us tonight, but I can tell you that Val Kilmer was going to come out this year as a supporter of not just Trump, but A lot of conservative governors who seem to be running in one of those states happens to be New Mexico that needs a lot of help. So Val Kilmer is now deceased, and what a great actor he was, and who can forget that wonderful movie, The Doors? Just a sad state of affairs. Well, that's going to bring us now to Real Deal Politics. Yes, it is. Let's get to it. Real Deal Politics, and we have Aaron on bat, and we seem to be having a really well. If I had a bat, I'd be hitting something right now because we have some stories to get to that have to do with the tariffs. Before we get to Canada, well, this is interesting. As you know, I've always wondered what happened to good old America's favorite turtle. Well, he seems to be turning on all of us, like turtles usually do. Well, that's going to lead us to, yes, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has now broken with party to reject Trump's Canadian tariffs. That's right. The lover of everything CCP, Mitch McConnell, Mr. Blueberry Hands. It's so sad, but it's so great too. McConnell has now broken with his other party officials and people that once had respect for him, although that was very few. Let me tell you more about it. Yes, he's breaking to reject Trump's Canadian tariffs. That's right. Senator Mitch McConnell, who should really have a mental evaluation and just put him in a glue factory coffin already, will you? Well, he's privately indicated to Senator Tim Kaine, who's extremely creepy and demonic, he would back the Virginia Democrats' resolution to undo President Donald Trump's Canadian tariffs. Tim Kaine told reporters Wednesday that former GOP leader, Mr. Mitch McConnell, yes, him. Well, he told him that day before that he would back Kaine's resolution, which will get a vote on the Senate floor this coming Wednesday. Today, I should say tonight, Wednesday evening, a spokesperson for Kaine has remarked McConnell's support is not necessarily a surprise. He's been a vocal opponent of Trump and everything, freedom and liberty and common sense and American, and he's married to a damn CCP woman. About Trump's tariffs now. Well, it's the latest instance of McConnell bucking the administration since leaving his leadership position, and McConnell supports means Kaine's resolution will likely have the votes it needs to advance to the Senate. Thank you very much, Mr. Turtle. Moving on. Well, here's something of the light, something that's somewhat positive, as now, you know, this gets, as we get past gag orders and turtles like that, well, now Wisconsin voters overwhelmingly approve of voter ID in a most recent vote. Well, yes, and we'll have to ask Jim about it next time he comes on. Well, now this is coming out of Natural News, finally, as Wisconsin voters overwhelmingly approve of voter ID in the constitutional amendment. Trump celebrates a big win. What does this mean, you ask? Well, Wisconsin voters approved a constitutional amendment requiring photo ID for voting, backed by 63.1% of voters. Also, Republicans solidified the voter ID law to prevent future legal and legislative challenges. Now, Democrats retained control, they're saying, of the Wisconsin Supreme Court as liberal judge Susan Crawford won. That's right. Now, critics have argued, as they do, voter ID laws suppress turnout, but polls show broad public support. You know, because it's suppression when you ask for identification to vote, or, you know, a carton of cigarettes, or dare I say, a nudie magazine. You have to have it for all those, but not for voting. And finally, the result highlights Wisconsin's political divide with GOP election reforms and Democratic judicial wins. And that is the news for Real Deal Politics to me. What do you think about that? Well, let's get to everything Canada now, because, you know, it just, I hate to see Canadians have to live through another Trudeau administration or a shade of it. But that's just what it's turning out to be now as we go to the People's Republic of Canada. There it is. And, you know, let's start with this, because I know Aaron has a real basket of things to share. But now, as Liberation Day is now here, what does this mean? Well, there's I guess some good news for Canada, and let me tell you about it now, as Trump slaps retaliatory tariffs on dozens of countries, but Canada is spared today, the worst this time. That's right. Trump announced Wednesday his long awaited plan to impose what he's calling retaliatory tariffs on imports coming from dozens of countries. Well, the White House said there will be no more across the board levies applied to Canada than what has previously been announced. That's absolutely correct. Now, as Trump has said, however, that he's going ahead with a 25% tariff on all foreign made automobiles as of tonight, right now, which could severely implicate the Canadian auto sector. That's right. And, for many of us Americans, this is news to us. We didn't even know they make cars in Canada. I've never heard of a Canadian car brand in my life. Well, the White House said that the tariff rate will apply to Canadian-made passenger vehicles, but there is a caveat. It will only be levied on the value of all non-U.S. content in that automobile. Well, what am I talking about? Well, Trump also said he would apply a minimum baseline tariff on 10% on all goods coming into the U.S., with rates higher than that for countries that the president said have supposedly been more egregious about ripping off Americans and a whole lot more. In fact, the fact sheet has been decimated to reporters after Trump's announcement. Now, the White House said Canada will not be subjected to the additional baseline tariff rate because of previously announced border-related tariffs. Well, that is rather interesting, don't you think? Well, to talk about this and a whole lot more is a Canadian himself. He's going to be avoiding tariffs no matter which way he goes, is Toronto's favorite son, Inspector Aaron Cates. Aaron, welcome to World at War on Liberation Day.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the show. Dean, how's it going?
Well, we all celebrate Liberation Day differently. Some people are just two sheets in the wind. You heard what I just said here, and every day, Aaron, for the past week now, I have had stories about Canada, but they've been stories of outside of the tariffs of Canadian students in America want to go back, or tourists in Canada don't want to go to America anymore, or snowbirds are selling their homes here. I mean, I have to ask myself, how much is this actually true, and how much of it is propaganda? Because is there that
Very
much
interesting.
disdain
Yeah.
for America right
No,
now?
mainstream
Is there a lot of
media is
hatred?
mainstream media is going on overdrive lately, trying to tell Canadians not to go to the United States, trying to not buy American products, only buy Canadian, stay in Canada, go to Europe, a lot of things like that. And there are some Canadians listening, just like they did with the Bat Who Loved Us, and go for Ukraine, and choose sides on pretty much every topic. But what's going on, I would say probably about 2 out of 10 Canadians are not going to go to Florida this year because Trump's tariffs, and CBC and CTV told them not to. So that's my stat. And from what I'm seeing, there are a few that I've talked to that are saying they're not going to buy American, and they're not going to go to Florida, or they're not going to go to the States. So that's what I'm saying. But one thing that happened today, that I noticed the gas prices in Canada came down about 20 cents a liter. Which means they canceled the carbon tax for now. They're going to try and make it up for another ways. We've got an election. So right now the gas prices went down 20 cents. So Canadians were happy to go to the pumps as of yesterday and today to pay a lot less in terms of gas. So that's a good start. And we got some bag of tricks for you. We're going to talk about the elections, and let's hit it.
So, okay, let's get into this, and just to catch me up to speed here, because I'm a very
Yeah, go
slow
ahead.
learner. Okay, so we have Mark Carney, who's in. He's in right
Correct.
now, and we have
He's a liberal
we have
leader.
Oliveri.
Yeah.
Right, we have Oliveri.
Paul Revere, if you're French.
We have him still running Trump in the White House. Is that
Yep.
correct?
I'm sorry. Paul Revere is a conservative leader.
So he's not being backed. He's not being backed. Right. He's
Sorry?
not being backed by Trump, just to my understanding.
Yeah, as of right now, Trump is saying
Oliver
that
is
he
not.
likes Carney. That's what Trump's saying. He endorses Carney, but you know what? Putin also endorsed Kamala.
Interesting.
So and Trump and Putin are very close friends. So I think it's a lot of psyop going on. I don't think that
Oh,
Trump truly wants
it's a tactic.
Carney. Yeah, I think it's a tactic. Definitely after knowing him
Right.
for a while,
I
he would want a
see.
conservative, not a liberal in there. There's no chance.
Because the contrary of that, or the opposite, if he was backing Poliveri, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it would be better for Poliveri, to be honest, if he came out and said, but I think it's for optics and for the chess moves, 5D
Got
chess that he's playing
it.
with Canada right now and other countries. I think that's why he did it.
Okay. All right,
That
let's get
makes
into
sense
it.
to
This
anybody.
is what Aaron has brought to the table. It's stunning. Here it is. What do we have here, Aaron?
Okay, so everybody's talking about United States. In Canada, just a couple of days ago, there was a Liberal MP, this guy Paul Chang, who's been on the police force for 25 years, I think, in Toronto, and he came out and he said to a Conservative MP some really not nice things, that he threatened him with his life, basically, that he should turn himself into a Chinese consulate in Toronto and he'll collect a bounty on his life or something. So this isn't good. Mark Carney, the same day, heard about this, and instead of firing him, he supports him, and he supports someone who just threatened another Conservative MP's life. Literally, here you go. Here's what he said: if you can take him to the Chinese Consulate General in Toronto, you can get the $1 million reward. Liberal MP and former York police officer comments for his political opponent, Paul Chang. So Paul Chang, remember there was 11 MPs that the RCMP named that conspired with China. This guy definitely probably is on the list. So right now, one of the things that was interesting, remember our friend Pat King? Pat King had threatened to honk his horns, and that is the worst that he did. Nobody died, nobody got hurt in the convoy. Well, he almost got like 10 years in prison just for saying that he was honking horns and doing that. This guy literally threatened his life. No jail time, nothing. Just resigned. If you want to go back to that for 1 second, Dean, can you go back to that one little pic there?
Yeah. Okay. So. Right. Okay. Let me go back to this, and I know we're going to talk about Patrick King, who we're trying to get back on the show. We're trying to reunite with him. I don't
really
think
should have him back.
I don't. Yeah, we have to have back channel communications here. But here is okay. One Liberal MP candidate has a major charge on him. Can you explain this one here?
So one Liberal MP resigned for being an alleged rapist. Another apologized after being accused of a hire for murder plot. And the Canadian mainstream media hasn't said a word. They're clearly muzzled, bought and paid for. I think that's my number one election issue at this point. It's so one-sided, the mainstream media. It just goes to show you how, people can honk their horns and they're okay to go to prison. But if you threaten someone else's life, if you're a Liberal, you can resign from your job. You don't get walked out the door. In fact, the Prime Minister will just stand behind your back and say everything's okay as long as you're a Liberal. But nope, too many people complained, and with human rights commissions and so forth. And the next day, this MP in the Liberal Party resigned. And yeah, there was a couple. The mainstream media had a story out on another Conservative MP who did something, I guess, shady as well. They were ready to go just when this story came out. So one Conservative MP resigned and another Liberal MP resigned at the same time. It's just incredible how the mainstream media had another story to take this one over the next day. So that's what's going on in Canada. All the
we have a video here. You brought
more
this
stuff coming up. Yeah.
All right. What is this next video, Aaron, that we're about to endure? What's this next video?
Oh, yeah. This is regarding the Emergencies Act. Mark Carney was just come back to
Hold on.
Mark Carney was a financial advisor to Trudeau, and it was his idea to invoke the Emergencies Act. Go ahead.
Quiet.
The sound's not coming out.
Hold on, Aaron.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Okay. Sorry, we're having a really
our usual technical difficulties,
equation here. Hold on, Aaron, please. I forgot about something. Okay, so we'll come back to that video in a minute.
Okay.
As I
Yeah.
correct things, but let's move on here before the blood pressure goes up. Your videos are just so wonderful. Thank you. But okay, let's move on here. We'll come back to that. Who is that guy? Because he looked like a monk. Who was that guy
Actually, he's
exactly?
a TikToker. He's a influencer, I guess, if you want to call it. And he's just trying to point out all
Oh,
the
is he?
liberal
Okay.
parties, Mark Carney, all his different bad traits and where he comes from. He dissects
Oh, got
things.
it.
And what he got down to in that video is he was trying to say that Mark Carney was behind the liberal government pulling the Emergencies Act on the trucker convoy. So it was his idea to freeze bank accounts and go after the truckers and, the Emergencies Act, shut everything down, mandates. It was his idea, and he was going to explain it in that video. If it ever comes up again, we'd love to play it, but we can move on. That's basically what.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Monk is
And
saying.
this Mark Carney,
Oh, he's not a great
Mark
guy.
Carney sounds terrible.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
horrible.
Mark Carney sounds like a very.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, we must have like a 5-second delay. So let me just get through my phrase of what I'm trying to. I'm saying that Mark Carney sounds almost worse than Trudeau because at least with Trudeau, it sounded very nice in the beginning and then he just sounded terrible. Probably
Yeah,
like I do right now. Okay.
with the 5-second delay.
Why that bad?
This guy is he's
Yeah.
bad news. He's at World Economic Forum. He's been on the board of all these different councils. He is Trudeau's handler, as they probably say. He's the guy who runs the show. He's on top of Chrystia Freeland. He's coming from the Bank of England. He was the governor there. England, it's a disaster now. I believe he was helping Peru as well as a financial advisor. Peru is a disaster now. He talks about net zero and green energy. Meanwhile, he's got coal energy plants in China, companies. So, I mean, this guy is fake news, as fake as you can make it. He is Dr. Evil coming.
Yes,
he just
is.
loves Canada from out of the blue. He just decided to come from England and save Canada because he loves us so much and wants to squeeze us and hold us and make Canada all beautiful again. So,
yeah, he does.
That's Mark Carney.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
who we're competing
Yeah,
with.
Carney.
Give me 2 seconds.
Here it
Do you
is.
remember when the Emergencies Act was enacted on the protesters and it was deemed unconstitutional and unreasonable? Take a wild guess whose idea this was. Mark Carney, published February 7th, 2022. It's time to end the sedition in Ottawa by enforcing the law and following the money. Those who are occupying the downtown of our country's capital, they are not patriots. This is not about restoring freedom, but the beginning of anarchy. It's not a rush of blood to the head. It's deliberate and calculated. And because of that, they must know that from now on, there will be consequences for their actions. Those who are still helping to extend this occupation must be identified and punished to the full force of the law. Drawing the line means choking off the money that finances occupation. But by now, anyone sending money to the convoy should be in no doubt you are funding sedition. Foreign funders of an insurrection interfered in our domestic affairs from the start. Canadian authorities should take every step within the law to identify and thoroughly punish them. The involvement of foreign governments and any officials connected to them should be identified, exposed, and addressed. I know from experience that crises don't end by themselves. This is insane. How has no one talked about that? This is our prime minister right now. It was his idea. He was advising the Liberal government, and he's been an advisor to Trudeau for a very long time. You see it there for yourself. He advised for this. It was deemed unreasonable and it violated the Charter of Rights. And they want to appeal the decision. They are appealing the decision. This is who people want for their prime minister. This is insane.
Monk.
Hey,
Yeah.
there it is. Insane. Okay, we have another video here. That video there, he reminded me of Charlie Brown a little bit. He had the same shirt on and everything.
Hey, Mark Kearney,
here's another
what
one.
About those kids on Epstein Island? Mark Kearney, what about the kids on Epstein Island? Canada wants to know, what about those children on Epstein Island? Do you have any idea about them, what you did with them? Canada wants to know.
His wife was close to
Yeah,
Ghislaine Maxwell, and they used to go to parties, I guess, at his Maxwell's house
that's a
or his
problem.
wife's house. So it's not good news. He's been on the island. Trudeau's been on the island. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's too many smoke,
Aaron,
smoke and mirrors here.
Aaron,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, this is exactly the same problem that RFK is having. His wife, his dead wife, I should say, was close to Ghislaine Maxwell, and he has admitted he's been on the Epstein flights twice with his children. So, I mean, I'm not, as I said many times, Aaron, that there very well may be people, of course there are, that when you have a philanthropist that rubs elbows with everybody, it's not a foreign thought to, see people that were on Epstein's flight and had no idea what was going on, or rub shoulders with them. But, we have to find out everything who was on the island. That's what we need to find out. But to me, Carney definitely was on the island and probably even lived there on the weekends. Okay, so let's move on here, as now he's
Twice
at
on
Trump
Sundays.
Tower. Is this what this is all about? Tell us
Okay,
about
so look at
this.
this. Canadian Prime Minister is caught. Mark Carney owns a luxury suite inside New York's Trump Tower. This is really interesting. He hates Trump. He says elbows up, and liberals are gonna save Canada and save the world. And he can't stand Trump in the United States right now. The tariffs are gonna kill us all, and we're all gonna die, God forbid. But he has a luxury suite in Trump Tower. That's interesting. I believe I heard his wife and kid actually lives there, and I'm sure it's a beautiful suite because he builds beautiful luxury condos. President Trump. So here's another one.
Speaking of beautiful, speaking of
Yeah,
beautiful,
here's Mark Carney's wife. Carney's wife. Do you notice anything? You want to go back to that picture for a sec?
yeah.
Notice an Adam's apple
Yes.
by any chance? Yeah.
Are you kidding me? No way.
We're finding out some weird things about people's wives these days.
Oh my! Yes, we are.
Inspectors
Way
on the
more than
case.
we bargained for. Yeah.
Last week
Okay.
I'm in the
So
bushes. This week I'm looking at people's wives.
you were in the bushes last week. That's true. That's true. Okay. We have one more story here, I believe. Okay. Here's. Let's talk about what we started here. This is about Pat King here, who
Yes, this is what I
Aaron
was
promised he
talking
was
about.
going to contact him. You said you were going to
Yeah.
contact him. So let's
Yeah,
see.
I
Go ahead,
haven't.
Aaron. What does it say?
Okay, so Canada, I'm charged and sentenced to 1 year in jail for counseling people to honk horns. The MP, Liberal MP, Mark Chang, counseled people to kidnap and collect $1 million bounty, and he has to do it is to step aside and apologize. All he has to do is step aside and apologize. Rules for me and rules for thee. So this is Pat King for honking his horns and driving a truck. No one got hurt. 12 months for telling truckers to honk. Liberal MP who literally threatened a Conservative Party member with his life and a bounty. He just resigned and apologizes. And Mark Carney actually had his back. He was actually fully behind his back until, I guess, Arsene Pierre, someone he said he must
Wow.
resign from the actual election. So I find that really, really interesting. You can just see the banana republic that Canada has become, Venezuela, China, whatever you want to call it. The judicial court for honking a horn versus threatening someone's life, you can see quite a difference, and that's where we are right now.
Okay, well, now let's talk about this one right here. Is Panama, which you just came back from Panama. I thought it was a wonderful segment.
Yeah, it was really great.
There, and
Yeah,
just
it was
a
amazing.
beautiful city. Beautiful city.
Loved it.
What is going on there? Because you brought this to the table here.
Literally breaking news
Tell us
this
about
week.
this.
Breaking news this week. China halts BlackRock's $23 billion Panama Canal port acquisition. So President Trump wanted to buy the ports from China, and I guess they were going to go through BlackRock to do it. But China suddenly halted the deal. They're deciding whether or not they want to give up the ports. And right now, I mean, it's being run by the Panamanians, but the United States is watching this closely, as I understand. President Trump is really watching this closely. He does not want China to overtake the canal. That is not an option. And he will send military in order to make sure it goes his way. Like, they're fully watching this. And it'd be in China's best interest to sell it. because President Trump is not letting this one go. America built it, and for geopolitical purposes, the United States needs the Panama Canal, just like they need Canada right now too.
Aaron, this is fantastic, wonderful. Kind of in a closing thought here, on Liberation Day, as before we head to break right now, where do we see this going for Canada and U.S. relations? A lot of people are telling me that they're saying Alberta is going to break away from Canada and
It's very possible,
come
yeah.
to. What say you on that potentiality?
Well, it's very possible. What's interesting, just like the Kamala situation where Kamala was installed, Joe Biden was taken out. This guy, Mark Carney, he was installed, Trudeau was taken out. A very similar situation with the mainstream media and the liberal Democrats, similar ideology, DEI, net zero, they're all for universal income and high gas prices, high grocery bills. But the way I see it is the mainstream media is working on overdrive in Canada. The polls are all so messed up. 3 months ago, Trudeau could, fall off a cliff and, everybody would be clapping their hands. This guy, Mark Carney, comes in, super Carney, and all of a sudden Canadians are just, the polls are, they're ahead of the polls to Liberals. One thing I'll just take note, I've been watching the Pierre Poilievre rallies, and I sent a video right now, is that he just came out of a rally right now, and there was thousands of people lined up. The place was packed, sold out. We did last week. We also had my friend Avi, who was at the first rally for Pierre Poilievre's kickoff for the election, and that was packed. So I'm seeing, when I look at numbers, Dean, I'm looking at the rallies, not like Joe Biden had 10 circles around him and Trump had 100,000 people in the sold out stadium. Looking at the rally and the numbers, Pierre's sold out, and Mark Carney has like 20 people in a bar, and he's just talking to people about fake talk, and there's not much he's going to do. He's a fake person. He's demon WF, and we got to get this guy Pierre Poilievre in. And I'll leave it at this. I got word today that the Conservatives were not doing a whole lot of podcasts. But I got word today that I think Pierre Poilievre might be going on the Joe Rogan show very, very soon. So we're going to find out very soon. And if he does that, it's a great move by the Conservatives.
It is a great move. Aaron Cates, everybody, thank you. And we'll be he'll be keeping his eye on the prize. There you have it, folks. There you have it. Thank you very much, Aaron. Okay, we're going to continue after this quick break. We're going to continue into the Real Deal Internationals here. There's some things to attend to. And even before that, we have some major World War III news, some international, and we're going to have a very soft landing with some Real Deal Health about the sleep you need to know about and the health risk it may present if you're not getting enough of it, they're telling us. So stand by. You're watching World at War, the #1 shadow banned show in the world. They're saying, yeah, see what happens. It's just when you're thinking about it, that's when it goes down. So stand by, everybody. We'll be right back after this quick break. Very quick. Well, there's another drone right here in Huntington Beach, California. Just when you thought you were away from the drones, the DJI Chinese drones are back to greet me. To make sure the Chinese lockdown continues during the curfew. All right, that's it.
Got the worst cold a human being ever had. I've got a major presentation tomorrow. I've got to rest, and I'm out of NyQuil. I could take these, but I'd still be up all night coughing, which means I'd be a wreck for the presentation, which means I could get fired. What am I going to do?
Feeling like crap? has become all too common these days. Everyone keeps asking that important question. You got ivermectin?
Got ivermectin?
Got ivermectin?
Do you got ivermectin?
Say goodbye to those illnesses that Big Pharma just can't cure. And say farewell and bon voyage to the parasitic forces preventing you from living. Real Deal Media is now powered up with the Wellness Center to bring you the medicines that matter. Go to www.twc.health.com/Dean Ryan. Make sure to use promo code Dean Ryan. Start truly living by taking back the control of your health.
Can you put two and two together, Judge?
Okay, we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I am still Dean Ryan, your cruise director, cruising with you in midnight and beyond. Tonight's show is brought to you by Ivermectin. Feeling a little fluey, feeling a little weird, feeling like you just don't belong because you feel so shitty, crappy, as the kids would say. Well, you got ivermectin, and if the answer is no, then the rebuttal is shame on you. All you got to do is go to twc.health/Dean Ryan. Use promo code Dean Ryan and get your ivermectin today, tonight, and immediately from the Wellness Company. Yes, indeed. Also, don't forget to become a visionary debonair, play from the Himalaya, be iconic, not ironic. Become a night owl. Join us. Join the revolution and get some extra content. Get the extra fix that you need. Get the real deal boosters of life. Become a night owl. realdealmedia.tv/membership. Yes, indeed. And the store will be worked on soon. We're having a battle with our web host. It's just, if people knew that the true battle is happening behind the scenes, it's just unbelievable. It is truly a world at war. Last night we ran out of time, and I was making a point in a case that Jim Fetzer is, I think, 11 years older than Bill O'Reilly and looks a ton much younger than Bill O'Reilly. And I didn't have an opportunity to prove my point. Well, here it is right here. Look at this goblin. Look at this guy right here. He looks like he could be Jim Fetzer's father. Look at this guy. That's what happens when your heart is just hate-filled and your hypocrisy and integrity truly don't even match each other. So, yeah, there he is. And, 10, 12, 15 years younger. So there's my point. I wanted to prove. Anyways, welcome back here. Let's move on here and forget we even just saw that. Just incredible. Okay, we're now going to hit World War III because this is some rather interesting breaking oldie bump news here as we now talk about it. As we get past the Trump tariffs, well, there's still a threat in the Middle East now. Yes, as being compromised is not just a four-letter word. No, it's not. Well, now this brings us to Iran. Iran now, Trump is now mulling indirect talks with Iran as a second carrier group dispatched to the Middle East right now. Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Various international reports have said the following here. These damn ads have said that the White House is seriously considering Iran's proposal for indirect nuclear talks. However, on Tuesday, which was, I believe, yesterday, the U.S. slapped more sanctions on the Islamic Republic as part of Trump's restored maximum pressure campaign really continues. As he's mulling, we're all mulling. Yes, it did. The Treasury Department in the latest move sanctioned several entities based in Iran, the UAE, and yes, even China, saying they are involved in procurement of unmanned aerial vehicle components on behalf of Iran's based aviation industries over there. At the same time, it has become central to the White House talking point that Iran and the Houthis and the blowfish are like hand in glove. The administration has been declaring that over a 2-week bombing mission in Yemen is a huge blow to Iran. I don't know why they would say such a thing. Well, currently a second U.S. aircraft carrier en route to the Middle East is now underway. This was confirmed with an order by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to send the USS Carl Vinson, an accompanying warship, to the region that will join USS Harry Truman, which has already come under repeat attempts by the Houthis to attack the Red Sea region. The war drums, the drums up war has never beaten so loudly since Biden was here and we were talking about Ukraine and Russia. And here we are again, in addition to the UK and France. And I'm expecting Canada soon to send troops on the ground over there in Ukraine to go fight Russia. Do we see how the chessboard is now being reshaped and how Donald Trump his support is fleeting? It really is, by the week. It is definitely fleeting, and we just have to be honest with ourselves that there's somebody else in control, it feels at times. Those are going to be called insecurities. And moving on now. Oh, now let's talk about Russia. As now Putin is now set to come to Washington. Yes, a big move that nobody saw coming. Now, Putin's envoy visits Washington for talks and first since 2022 Ukraine invasion. So representatives of Putin, I don't think he would be safe coming to the Washington establishment just yet. Well, now earlier this week, the Kremlin said it has given Trump's White House formal notification and evidence. Evidence on what, you might ask? Well, not ads that just pop up and try to ruin things for you, but we're talking about notifications on evidence showing that Ukraine has continued attacking Russian energy sites despite the U.S.-backed agreement for each side to refrain from incentive. Can't be. There's so far there's been no response from the Trump administration. So far, there has been no reaction to such actions by the Kiev regime. Kiev, for that person who has issue with my pronunciations. Well, previously, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov described the user, Marco Rubio, and Russia's representatives in the UN. So, they just want to just willfully be ignorant and ignore it, apparently. And how do you not understand that this is in the best beneficiary kind of ordeal and strategy for Ukraine, not Russia? And it's just beyond me moving to the next. Well, that brings us to Zelensky, who's now, despite Zelensky's reluctance for peace, and I think it's beyond reluctance at this point. It's just defiance. Well, now he's determined, talks now underway as Putin's envoy goes to Washington. So he feels a little jealous too. He's not getting the love and the beating he deserves. Well, yes, that's absolutely on the money now, as today it's now also reported that the Kremlin will send, in addition to the Kremlin sending their envoys to Washington to further peace negotiations over there in the Ukrainian war. Well, the move follows a back and forth now between Washington and Kiev once again over the last few days, which has been making slow progress, albeit progress nonetheless. 5 steps forward and, 4 steps back, and that's how you do it. But now the Putin envoy, Dmitriev, was born in Kiev, educated, and okay. So let me tell you what this means here. I'm reading my notes. Is to make a deal and try to reestablish a connection with Trump over there in the Oval Office that everybody watched around the world. It shocked the nation. But now he wants to come back and doesn't want to have Russia take the lead and have the upper hand in this conflict. But what he's asking for is for a U.S. security presence in Ukraine for God knows how long. God knows how long, which is exactly what the Congo is asking for. Now, what the Congo is asking for is a U.S. security presence as well, because over the border in Rwanda, you have a Chinese-backed rebels who are now butchering, massacring people in the Congo, Christians predominantly, and are trying to do a regime change through these rebels. And virtually, it's mirroring what's happening in Haiti. Now, the big mystery, which I'm not ready to share yet, is who's actually funding these rebels beyond China? Who's really funding this? And why do the people of Congo have a terrible hatred for certain people in the U.S., but also for certain people who have been running the United States Embassy in Congo for quite some time? And you're going to see a connection to the LGBTQ outfit and all of their efforts that we've been finding through U.S. aid. And you'll be shocked, some, to learn what that exactly is. Real Deal International, let's get to it, and let's not waste any more time because time is essential and it's currency that you just can't get back now. Well, we broke this story the other night during the international segment as Le Pen over there in France, like many Western leaders, but also like many leaders that are trying to regain the sovereignty in the nation state of their country and oppose globalism. Well, she's under fire and they want to throw her in jail. Well, here's an update on what seems to be happening here. Well, now France's Marie Le Pen now sentenced to prison and banned from office amid political firestorm. So the update is now she's being sentenced as the charges have now kind of simmered and assimilated, rather. Well, French politician Marie Le Pen was sentenced to 4 years in prison and barred from public office now officially for 5 years for embezzlement in EU funds, dealing with major blow to her 2027 presidential ambitions. Well, she denounced the ruling as, quote, a political decision, accused the courts of violating democracy, and vowed to appeal, framing the case as a, quote, administrative disagreement rather than criminal misconduct. Well, the presiding judge, who is a total a-hole and a real Le Pew, if you ask me, and two magistrates received armed protection after FBI were posing as far-right people and posing threats, prompting a condemnation from judicial officials. You say, oh yes, democracy. Well, the verdict sparked allies like Hungary's Viktor Orban, Italy's Matteo Salvini, who've now been decrying an undemocratic action in nature that just took place, while critics in France debated judicial overreach. Le Pen's ban sidelines her from the race now, officially, potentially elevating leader Jordan Bardella as her successor through the case, and has intensified debates over judicial influence in politics and France's future direction they want to go. I mean, what does France want? Do they want Marie Le Pen and a chance to get out of globalism, or do they want Macron and his father, who's wearing a wig pretending to be Macron's wife? I mean, the choice is very simple to me. It's very simple. Macron and all these people, they need to be to Germany. Here's another place y'all never step. It's some kind of mess from a third world Middle East, God knows where. And Germans are starting to figure it out now. They really are. They're starting to figure out that the liberal they thought they were being is really just being a bunch of wimps after all, as the Kalergi plan is now unrolling and unfolding before their German laws now, which everything seems to be going down. But now check this out here. This is a major breakthrough of just common sense. They're now saying we have to talk about non-German suspects. German minister admits foreigners disproportionately represented in latest crime stats. Gee, you think? Good God. So, someone should get the chancellor and choke them out with a bunch of sauerkraut until they figure it out. Or do Americans have to do it once again? Well, violent crime rose in Germany in 2024 to no surprise or shock to anybody who's paying attention, with police recording a concerning increase in knife attacks, sexual assaults, and yes, youth violence. The trends that coincide with disproportionately high number of offenses attributed to foreign nationals. Yeah, that's right. According to the latest crime statistics presented over there in Berlin on Wednesday, home of the pedos, well, foreigners accounted for, get this now, you're going to fall off your seat once you hear this. All the crime in Germany, 40% of that has been attributed to migrants. You understand that? It's probably more than that. They're trying to be conservative and nice about it, but we don't wear gloves here. Yeah, 40% of all criminal suspects, despite compromising 15% of the population. So yeah, because there's no charge, you can get away with anything you want. Just like if you're in the U.S. and you sexually assault someone, for example, and you can't stand trial if your IQ is lower than 60. Think about that. Now, the data, however, significantly understates the true involvement of foreign-born individuals in the crime, just to be fair. Under current statistical methods, naturalized citizens, those born abroad but now holding German passports, are classified as German. Well, isn't that something? So you just go there, get your passport, and then just go on a crime spree, and don't worry, you're German now. Well, this means offenders with migration background may be unrepresented in the figures, as many are not counted as foreign nationals. Now, it's worth noting in total, 5.84 million crimes were registered by police, a slight decline of 1.7%, but who cares about that? It's still bad. So there you have it. I don't think I need to know or learn any more other than it's a failed country, as Europe seems to be falling faster than the euro is. I think so. Now let's go to Britain now. Well, Britain's descent into the police state censorship. This is a terrible story. This is, the UK is falling. It might be falling faster than Germany because you can't even record it all how bad it is over there. But let me learn more about this. Well, now Britain's descent into oblivion, as they now have really shown us what the migration can do to a country and their descent into it. And wait till I show you the statistic after this. It's going to blow your mind. Yes, their descent into the folklore of the Magna Carta now is upon us. Yes, it is. Britain's descent into police state censorship. Parents raided for questioning their daughter's school system online. That happens. Well, parents Maxie Allen and Rosaline Levine, parents of over there in Hertfordshire, faced a police raid after questioning their daughter's school. It's in its principal recruitment process. Their choice to vent frustrations on WhatsApp came with severe consequences. That's right. They can break into WhatsApp, but they can't do it with Signal because Signal wouldn't allow them backdoor access. That's right. Yeah. They were banned from school now, premises, and arrested for malicious communications. I wish a Bobby would show up to my door and tell me I have malicious communications, because I would love to show him a malicious Bobby stick right in his throat. Now, the ordeal lasted 11 hours in a police cell with no charges filed due to insufficient evidence. Now, the incidents highlight the growing trend of government overreach and censorship in Britain, where questioning authority can lead to severe consequences. What a bunch of a bunch of bollocks, as they say in England. And you know what they're doing in the meanwhile? And I'm going to show you this next statistic. It's going to blow your mind. As this is happening, you want to see how far Europe has fallen? I mean, they just had a fashion week over there in Paris. This should tell you, as the Babylonian just uprising isn't just in politics, but it's in culture and it's also in fabric. Check this out. You'll know what I mean. Look at the debauchery. You get the gist there. You want to know who's taken over? So you might have heard about the no-go zones. You might in Sweden from 15 years ago. Well, there's no-go zones in UK now. Look at this right here. Look at the stat. Let me tell you, England is being conquered. This is not immigration. This is invasion. The mayor of London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is Muslim. The mayor of Luton is Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is Muslim. And the mayor of Rockdale is a Muslim. All this was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England. There are more than 50 Sharia councils now. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation. That's called benefits. We call it welfare. 63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. That's absolutely correct. States supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodations. Every school in the UK is also required to teach about Islam. And finally, the number one most common baby name in England today isn't Chester. And no, it's not Winston. It's Muhammad. Go eat your heart out and bring some hummus with you too. You see that? How do you like those stats? How do you like those stats? And this is what they wanted. This is part of the Kalergi plan we heard about in the 1920s. It erases all culture and history. Now, you try to do this in Saudi Arabia. Now, you try to do this in Iran. You try to do it in the UAE or any than a tomato. That's right. And so this is not what people want. So people who are against a Israeli takeover from the top and infiltration, this is not the alternative people want. You see, it's not a black and white choice here. And that's going to bring us to a much needed segment of Real Deal Health, because I'm blowing some gaskets tonight, everybody. I don't know what to tell you. In fact, getting heartburn too. Well, now this gives us a Real Deal Health. Let's talk about this now, because this is very important. Sleep shortfalls and silent brain decline, how poor sleep patterns may herald Alzheimer's risk. Now, this is serious because you may know people out there, and I certainly do. People are getting dementia faster, sooner than I've ever seen before in my life. I know more people with dementia and Alzheimer's than I've ever known before in my life. And it seems to be coming earlier and earlier and earlier. And a lot of this can be attributed to the pharmaceutical medicines that have the heavy metals and all kinds of other ailments that are giving people the memory loss. We can attribute it to the marijuana now, just in California alone. My God, the marijuana is so powerful. I had to stop because I was just forgetting, God, where are my keys? I mean, I can't afford to buy any more socks that I've lost. But you can also attribute it to what's in the sky, the geoengineering, the cloud seeding, the chemtrails. And it really is taking an effect on our culture, but our populace as a whole. And that really is, all of us, not just here in America. But let me tell you about this now, because the sleep shortfalls are very serious, as this is coming out of Natural News is now the silent brain decline, how poor sleep patterns may herald Alzheimer's risk. Well, let me tell you what this means now. As a new study has now come out in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, and if you haven't read the most current issue, well, I highly, highly recommend. Well, it links inadequate slow wave sleep and REM sleep to reduce brain volume in regions. Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Such as inferior parietal cortex. You know what that is? Well, somebody needs to find out. Well, now researchers tracked a $270 recently with a median age of 61 for at least 13 to 17 years. And what a hell of a study that is. Finding that poor sleep is correlated with brain atrophy, independent of lifestyle or medical factors. Now, what do I mean by this is REM sleep may impair the glyphematic system, hindering the removal of Alzheimer's linked beta amyloid plaques. So that's kind of what it is. Alzheimer's, dementia, it's plaque in the brain. Plaque in the brain. And that's why you're supposed to eat a lot of turmeric, put it in swelling. That's exactly why people are having a lot of these memory problems, and especially people who are drinkers out there. It's really hitting them right away. Now, the study also suggests sleep optimization could delay Alzheimer's onset by protecting brain structure before symptoms appear. While limited by the homogeneous participant pool, the study longitude design strengthens casualties from happening. Sleep is now promising, and you can prevent Alzheimer's by a lot of these steps here. And the old brain massage the head at night, get rid of this plaque and get rid of any of just the ailments that we have to deal with on the daily. Now, sticking with the sleep theme, well, here's something that was rather interesting. Adults can sleep with stuffed animals too. It might even be a good thing. Well, if you're trying to rid your your Alzheimer's with sleep, well, they're saying have a stuffed animal that might help. Yes, indeed. Adults can sleep with stuffed animals too. It might be a good thing. Experts are now saying. What do they mean? Well, this is what they're saying. This is exactly what they're saying. They're saying, I wonder if people are seeking more comfort in the face of uncertainty, which is causing a lot of formalities that are preventing you from sleeping. Well, Build-A-Bear company over there has an entire section on its website, you might have noticed, dedicated to its products for grown-ups. Well, not that I would know. Well, a survey the company commissioned found that more than half of people held on to a childhood stuffed animal, and about 40% just be adults here admit that you have one of these characters with you. I'm not saying I do, but let's just get real about it. Well, here's what I mean. This is from Dr. Jade Wu, who's saying, I wonder if people are seeking more comfort in the face of uncertainty, which is, a lot of anxiety. I know we all have it. That's the sleep psychologist and a founder of Thrive Sleep Clinic over there in North Carolina. And for people living on their own, it could be nice to have something. It could be nice to have something to cuddle with at night, she added. There's nothing wrong with having a stuffed animal as an adult or using one to sleep better. In fact, there's a lot of positives to it. Yeah, so you go get a Build-A-Bear and get a sleep buddy tonight. We all need one. Not that I would know. Well, in case you don't know, this is Arnie, and he's the co-host. And I'm not saying we sleep together because I'm not ready to admit that. But hey, whatever you need to sleep out there, find it, make it work. Because people, they need love too. They need love too, and that's going to. Well, this one here. Get your final thoughts. Bring your stuffed animals with final thoughts. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Final thoughts here as we close Liberation Day, which really, from the sounds of it, it sounds like a huge Jubilee celebration, but it really is what that study just shared with us. There's a lot of uncertainty in the atmosphere, no matter which country you're living in. There's a lot of uncertainty. And, the reality is we don't know which way the wind is blowing. A lot of trust that was given to politicians or any individuals with power in the past, it's not as strong as it might have been, because just like our grandparents in years past, there's one thing to take away from their experience of the Great Depression and World War II, and something I live with today, and I've learned tenfold over and over again, is the only thing we can do is prepare for the worst and hope for the best, because that will liberate you right there. Because if you are looking for a leader, what you're going to get is a master in return. And that is my final thought. Okay, I will be back tomorrow night with Real Deal Media Live with some special attributes for the audience, and we might even have a special presentation from a Canadian. That's not Aaron. I don't want to give too much away. So we'll find that out. I'll be back tomorrow night. In the meanwhile, we'll see how the tariffs affect all of us and you out there, and we hope for the best on that. For Aaron Cates for being here, I'm Dean Ryan, and the rest of us at Real Deal Media, World at War. Thank you for joining us, and always remember to stay tuned and stay away.
I live my street, I'm a guillotine. Put it away in my machine. Where have you been? I love you. Shooting stars in my left arm, I'm an alcohol. Giving away time to Casio. The sun is slow, I still love you. Is this where I'm going to? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I live my street, I'm a guillotine. Put it away in my machine. Sing what I mean. Loved you. Is this where I'm going to? Is this where I'm